Hello, hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's day two of IncubateIND Developer Tech Camp of GitHub or open source, I would say. So, first of all, what we'll be trying to do is that we'll just try to understand what the fundamentals are, what we'll be doing today, what we'll be trying to understand, exploring new opportunities, looking into new fields, as well as then look forward to the next steps. So the first thing that we'll be doing is that we'll just try to understand what we have done yesterday, what we did try to understand, how open source has become such a big tool today. So for the same, let me just share my screen so that yeah. So as you can see over here, let's just go to one of the repositories, which is github.com slash prison. Yeah. So the first and foremost thing that we'll be trying to understand and try to take back from yesterday is that we need to know how actually things are working in the open source. And by open source, what I do mean is that yesterday we had understood that how do we contribute, how do we get the attention of the mentor, what is the process, what should be the ideal case that we follow. Though again, there could be various ways in which you inculcate those principles. There are different ways in which you could introduce yourself. But again, there are certain parameters, there are certain standards defined in the industry which you should follow. So let's say I finalized on a project. What I do need to do again is that I'll have to look into the principles. I'll have to look into. Okay. Let me just change the screen layout first. Yeah, that is better. Okay, that's better. So what we do need to understand is that let's suppose say that we have finalized on the project. We have understood what we'll be doing. We have made a fork of the repository, cloned the repository, and have started working on it. But again, the fundamentals lie about is that how do I go through the entire project? Some tips and tricks on how to utilize GitHub. So let's say you are scouting for the projects, you are looking through the file structures, and then suddenly you feel that okay, I need to see the folder structure of this project. But again, I do not want to clone it, because if you are going to clone each and every repository that you are looking forward to, you will end up having a lot of disk space occupied on the hard disk, as well as lot of internet activity would be required. So for the same, what do we do and how do we resolve that problem? So I'd be coming up with certain tips and tricks through which you could follow, which you could understand, and then try to overcome it. So let me just share the screen once again. It seems there's a problem. Yeah, here we go. This is better. Now, if you will see, let's suppose, say I'll be working on this repository. I want to contribute over here, and now I want to see the folder structure. So ideally, what I'd be doing is that I'd be cloning the repository. But let's say you do not want to clone the repository and want to quickly see the folder structure. So that's the first tip I'd say is that you want to have it in a more normalized and a common environment. So for the same, what you can do is that if before any repository you add GitHub 1s, that is, if you change the domain name from GitHub to GitHub 1s, what you will see is that you will get the entire folder structure of that repository. So by public repository, what I do mean is that if there's an open source project, the entire structure of that project, the framework, the folder structure, you can visualize it in your own text editor the way you see it, which is VS Code or VS Code editor that you perform. So this is an online version created by one of the contributors of on GitHub. So if you look through it, you will get the entire project structure over here. So this comes in handy while you are trying to select the project, trying to understand the project folder structure, if it is pretty much clear or not. Do some initial overlooking and scouting. Let's say if you want to just get into, let me just say, if I get into cards, so what I can do, I'll just check into the YML files, I'll look into the demos, I'll look into. So what does happen basically over here is that you are able to look into deeper examples. You are looking into what actually the project is implementing over here. If I want to look at the change logs that have been occurring over the past few days, and many other things that I want to come across. So these are the few things that you can do while selecting the project again. The next thing that you can do over here is that, let me just get back. Remember, this is not a write editor, it is just a read editor. So you can actually visualize it and have a detailed look into it. Now, one important thing while finalizing the projects is that to look for these tags, because these help you lot in understanding the topic. So let's say you would be looking for a topic which is related to Kubernetes, which is related to, I'd say, serverless deployment. So what you can do is that if you want to look into the best of the projects which are working on, let's say, Kubernetes, what you do is that just go to github.com/topics slash, and you will find the list of top performing repositories which are working on Kubernetes. And then what will eventually happen is that you will be able to visualize or finalize on the topics that you are working upon. So let's say let me just do one thing. Let's say I'm good in Java. So what I do is that I'll just simply search for github.com/topics/Java, and I'll get the best top performing Java repositories out in the open source, which are being forked, which are being worked upon, which are being sponsored, which are being started, and then definitely you will get the top performers over there. So this is what actually you could do. You could understand, you could get resources over here. One more important feature over here is that if you look precisely, you will get to understand different topics, different fundamentals, each and every part of it. Now, the next thing that while selecting a project, once we have finalized it, what do we do then? Let's make a clone of it. So what we'll do is that we'll make the clone. The next part is that once we have finalized on each and everything, let's just get into the issues, because obviously this is where you will try to understand what the process is going. You can do some more amount of scouting, you could work into it, you can define different features, as well as look into events and tags and labels through which you could understand what to do and what not to do. Then obviously discussions are there, but the important fact today is that how do we know that we are self proficient, and how do we create our own projects, how do we make it visible to the world? Because to make collaborative documents, to make collaborative issues, how do we share with the community? How do we let the people know that, okay, I have created these, have a look at it, come contribute into it? So the best way for it is that something which is visualizable, something which you can view from different scopes, something which you could look into, is you could create a web page out of it, of your own project. Now, that is also one important aspect of GitHub repositories, is that you could create GitHub pages for not only the developers who would come up to your repository, but also people who are looking for releases, who are looking for tools to download from there, to gather resources, to learn certain things. So you could create, one important aspect of running an open source is that you need to have an understanding of GitHub pages. So today what we'll be doing is that, since we've got less amount of time, we'll be quickly going through the entire process of GitHub pages, and we'll be looking how to create a GitHub page, how to implement it, and then how does it dynamically change over with time. So the first and foremost thing that we can do is that we can get a domain name, which is not an essential condition. You could also get it as github.io/username. That is k96.github.io/ and then the page would come. So you can do that as well. So what we'll do is that, first of all, let's say there's a, I believe there's a repository created. Yeah, here it is. So what you do see is that we have just created it. The commits have not yet been made. We'll be adding the code base over here, a file template over here. The task for today would include each one of you to actually clone the repository, fork your repository, create a page which is contentful. If you are willing to write something related to your blog experience, if you want to have your own web page, let's say a portfolio or any other object, all you do need to do is that simply fork this repository, create a clone, add in your text files, add in your repository links. Then the next step that you'd be required to do is that simply go to settings. Once you have pushed the code onto the code base, go to the settings section, scroll down. What you will find is that the GitHub pages has been moved to a different tab. So you could just click over here. Then all you do need to do is that simply select main as the branch. Obviously, this is what you would be working upon. And then click on save. So what does usually happen is that you will get your own live page that by the name of username or organization.github.io/ the repository name. With this, you can have your own portfolio, own whatsoever you want to. So basically, this is what you want to portray as the front page of your repository, which you would be working upon. If you are looking for volunteers, if you are looking for sponsorships, you could create that page and put it up live on website for people to visualize it, for people to add SEOs to collaborate together and work together with it. So this is what one important aspect is, because lot of organizations, lot of communities today have actually developed themselves from GitHub pages, and this is only a part of how you can actually deploy your projects, how you can actually run a pipeline throughout your projects. And then another important task is that you could also create workflows by using simply putting up scripts and using GitHub Actions, and you'd be able to press pipeline through it, through which if you push the code, if you are creating a webhook. So again, a webhook is an object through which you could just create at a point from where you could just generate the link. If you push the code and a script is being called, that webhook would automatically pull the code base over there for you, basically automating the entire process rather than going to the server and pulling the code over there and deploy it for your end. So this is what actually the possibilities are when we are talking about not only contributing to the open source but also showcasing or portraying your projects. This is also an important aspect that we need to do. So for the same, what we'll be doing is that, let me just get to the, yeah, as you can see, the IDTC day 2 has been opened up. The task is present over here. I'll just drop the link into the YouTube chat, as well as request Anuj to kindly just drop in over there and drop it into the Leverize section as well. Now, apart from this, what we do need to do is that we'll ask each and everyone to go through the entire process of how to understand the feasibilities, how to understand what the scope of the project is. And the task for today till 7 p.m. is that we'll be asking for a closer at 7 p.m. and all the top performers, all the top beautifully looking as well as interactive and active pages, GitHub pages put up by the participants, the top ones would be receiving goodies from GitHub. So this is what the opportunity today is. I request everyone to do share your portfolios. We will be sharing the link, Google form in which you would be asked to submit the task. So all the best. If you have got any queries, feel free to ask us on the Leverize, as well as do ask us over here. We'll be more than happy to help you and assist you. So Anuj, if you are there, if you do have any words for the participants, you could just pop in and throw in some details. Anuj, are you there? Seems like Anuj is not willing to do so. So what we'll be doing is that let's get over to Levrise. We'll be assigning you the task. We'll be conversing over there. We have provided you a set of templates. It is not necessary that you utilize the template. You can simply just dump it or create a new branch of your own and then deploy the project. Remember, we need a deployed project on GitHub Pages or using any of the features with which GitHub has provided, whether it is GitHub Actions or GitHub Pages. You are required to put up a page, and through which we will be assessing your creativity, your skills, whether it is HTML, CSS, or any other part which you are utilizing, and then we will be scoring accordingly. Even if you do remember, you could create some beautiful pages using the markdown feature of GitHub. So do utilize them and come up with the best that you can. So this is it. If we have got, yeah, sure, you could use Netlify for deployment. Uh, can we? Okay, yeah, on the goodies part. So we'll be providing t-shirts from GitHub India, as well as some caps would be there. But again, the constraint is that this would be, you'd be expecting some delay in delivery due to the COVID situation, as well as we are working from home currently. So do expect the delays, but you'd definitely be receiving the goodies to the top performers who would be deploying the project code. So all the best, everyone. Thank you. And if you have got any queries, feel free to ask us on Levrise Workspace. With this, I'll just take adieu and we'll connect at 7 p.m. on the Levrise Workspace. Stay tuned till then and follow the GitHub externship as well. And I will also encourage each and everyone present over here that please do try to participate in externship, because if you get selected, you have got a good amount of stipend, as well as you get to work with the best in the industry. So thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.